Let's execute an immediate high-gear tactical vector shift away from the neon-slicked vertical towers of futuristic Manhattan and elite theater galas and plunge directly back into the dark, calculation-heavy tracking grids of rural isolation, internet-age vigilante hunting groups, and the deeply protective world of domestic psychological survival. We are crossing the threshold directly into the swampy bayous, heavily booby-trapped lakeside compounds, and lethal protective parameters of a maternal fortress under active siege, with Trapper Road, the exceptional pulse-pounding sixth structural deployment anchoring the globally dominant multi-million copy best-selling Stillhouse Lake series by the legendary powerhouse co-authoring collective of Rachel Caine and Carrie Ryan. This high-stakes operational deployment delivers a thrilling look at an operational crossroads where a mother who survived a serial killer husband, a toxic network of digital troll armies tracking her children's every move, and an absolute defense of a dark rural highway perimeter collide at terminal velocity. Let's lay out the strategic narrative grid. If you are a fan of high-octane, slow-burn psychological thrillers where a battle-hardened, hyper-vigilant mother must navigate an absolute maze of external doxing networks, lethal wilderness traps, and a deadly ring of protective personal boundaries while running a blind survival loop inside a compromised local town ecosystem where an analytical mind uses deep tactical fortress security, digital counter-tracking loops, and absolute emotional stamina to outmaneuver an approaching digital and physical hunting party, and where the authors utilize an incandescent shattered sanctuary unearthing a lethal copycat threat diagnostic routine to test our hero's structural survival perimeters, this book is engineered to lock you in. Caine and Ryan completely dominate the domestic survival suspense dynamic, capturing the heart-racing intellectual momentum, suffocating isolation paranoia, and heavy psychological depth popularized by genre vargs like Lisa Gardner, Corinne Slaughter, Melinda Lee, and Mary Burton, while treating advanced home defense logistics, dark web cyber-stalking evasion, and protective firearms tradecraft grids with absolute technical mastery. The narrative tracking grid zeroes in on the battle-scarred baseline of Gwen Proctor, formerly the wife of a notorious serial killer, now a masterfully calculated weapon of maternal protection operating under a severe calculation-heavy handicap of permanent internet infamy and obsessive dark web tracking. Behind her heavily reinforced cabin doors and rural Tennessee hideout frontrents lies an intricate matrix of hidden trail cameras, tactical firearm vaults, and deep, high-stakes personal defense grids. Her collective security mechanisms are locked down tight behind a lifetime of outrunning murderous internet vigilantes and obsessive copycat killers, her entire analytical focus strictly consumed by monitoring sudden perimeter breaches, parsing complex anonymous digital threats, and shielding her vulnerable children from being entirely wiped out by a ruthless online and offline cleanup offensive. The spark ignites when an unexpected high-frequency structural anomaly breaches her active scanning perimeter. A teenage girl is found murdered on a dark, desolate stretch of asphalt known as Trapper Road, and a secondary trauma asset, a troubled friend of Gwen's daughter, disappears into thin air. The official diagnostic metrics of the local sheriff's tracking centers flash white-hot as a vicious internet mob, fueled by a toxic true crime podcast network, launches a massive coordinated campaign to blame Gwen and her family for the local horror. The standard boundaries of an orderly local police investigation crumble, and our central protagonist, the fierce mother operating with no official institutional shield, runs completely out of standard diplomatic escape parameters. She is thrust directly into an active invisible war, where crazed online vigilantes, highly manipulative media grifters, and an elusive calculation-heavy local predator launch aggressive countermeasures to permanently destroy her hard-won sanctuary. The tactical parameters instantly explode as her historical and survival warfare turns completely active, transforming the murky backcountry lakes, dark rural highways, and local law enforcement buildings into a volatile psychological pressure cooker and a physical battle zone. Our veteran survivalist protector is forced to deploy her massive intuitive tradecraft, environmental mapping skills, and raw defensive stamina to maintain her perimeter before the lynch mob or the actual killer closes the trap. When deceptive local rumors, corrupted digital tracking logs, and calculation-heavy physical ambush tactics launch aggressive plays to delete her family's safety trail, her survival instincts engage her final deployment tracks. Every midnight perimeter sweep, every silent choice to stand off against an armed mob behind her cabin walls, and every intense moment of channeling raw, unyielding survival mechanics chips away at her reliance on original passive rules.
What follows is an exceptional high-stakes war of perspective, tactical position, and raw human grit. We watch the adversary's deceptive digital and physical parables completely unwrapped, as Caine and Ryan reveal that the true victory requires more than just surviving an initial doxing wave or clearing one's name through a local sheriff. It demands an absolute, uncompromising defense of maternal truth, personal legacy, and individual survival against a cold, calculating machine of viral hatred and human depravity. While our central characters smooth over each other's psychological and defensive blind spots with devastating analytical force, backed by her fierce partner Sam Cade and her highly resilient kids, a brutal series of close-quarters tactical confrontations and high-stakes evidentiary breakthroughs shifts the clock into its terminal phase, proving that historical emotional hazards have tracked them to their final outpost. To survive the impending locked grid trap and permanently secure her children's future, our resilient hero must unleash an absolute, unyielding defense of her final boundary lines. It is a domestic psychological suspense, cyber-stalking action thriller, small-town crime drama, high-velocity country norm masterpiece that treats deep tactical logistics and intense structural friction with elite precision. The tension here burns with a sharp, calculation-heavy intensity. We are talking about that high-frequency, one doxed location triggers an armed vigilante assault energy, where a sudden pause outside a dark window, an unexpected shift in an adversary's protective physical posture during a high-stakes confrontation on a dirt road, or a heavy, possessive realization that an anonymous internet group has completely mapped your children's school coordinates carries massive structural weight. Caine and Ryan write with an exceptionally fresh, vivid, and beautifully blunt voice, perfectly capturing the cold, metallic rack of a shotgun pump, the oppressive, heavy atmosphere of a country lake under a humid summer storm, and the distinct, subtle scent of lake mud, old pine boards, stale coffee, computer fan exhaust, gun oil, and pure, unadulterated suspense. What truly elevates the sixth franchise entry into elite territory is the author's unmatched ability to balance realistic internet hunting mechanics and genuine high-stakes home defense tradecraft alongside a breathtaking narrative pace and deep emotional resonance. Our protagonists don't rely on unbelievable, superficial Hollywood superhero action tropes. Their immense situational intelligence, strategic patience, and profound survival instincts match the complexity of the chaotic modern digital and rural underworld they dominate step for step, making their choices to risk everything feel profoundly authentic and deeply gripping. The pacing moves with calculated momentum, tracking intense conversational standoffs and breathtaking personal breakthroughs before ratcheting up to an absolute jaw-dropping conclusion that delivers total, hard-earned advancement to their horizon. Trapper Road is the definitive pro-level upgrade your high-stakes domestic suspense and dark vigilante thriller library demands right now. It is elegant, immensely fast-paced, and utterly unputdownable. It proves that when your entire sanctuary is targeted by a cold, calculating viral monster, the most revolutionary play you can execute is to lock your perimeters, trust your elite survival training, and fight like hell alongside your network to rewrite the data. So, secure your personal reading sanctuary, review your emotional defensive perimeters, open your Kindle, and prepare to track the road.